Hey YouTube, Longwoods Post 1975. A little tired, 6 o'clock in the morning. Just got in from work. Thought I'd do a quick sort of vloggy video because, you know, quite an interesting topic. Not, you know, life-changing or groundbreaking or anything like that, but, you know, chances are if I went to bed I'd probably forget about it. And I at least found it interesting. Well, the title's up there. Yeah, it worked last night. Oh, brilliant. You know when someone sort of shoots you down or quips you, more often than not, you know, in good fun, by the way, and you like to respond also in good fun, but more often than not, you got nothing. You got absolutely nothing. Or 15 minutes later, that's when it pops in your head and you just go, oh my god, that would have been the greatest comeback ever. Well, I don't know, it's like playing Connect 4, you know, everything was in place at the right time and I just turn around and just nailed this person. But it's interesting because it got me thinking. I thought, oh yeah, I've talked about and alluded to this before in videos, but I've never really got into much detail about it. And because, you know, I talked to this person about it, you know, albeit very briefly. It's funny because I thought about it a lot more than I have, you know, in a long time. So yeah, anyway, I'm sneaking a peek at all the games last night at work. You know, should have been working. Sneaking a peek, and someone I work with or colleague walked by, and they said to me, they were like, hey dude, seriously, you're obsessed, you need to get some help, can you, like, you know, stay away from games longer than 10 minutes? And I just put the game back, turned around to the individual and said, that coming from the person who hasn't missed a Bristol City home game in 25 years, I can honestly say even I have gone without gaming or owning a system for an entire year. So for where I'm standing, mate, it's you with the problem, not me. And at least my addiction is technically cheaper. It's like, zing. I mean, it was all in good fun, but and he was like, dude, you didn't own or play a game system, you know, for a year? And I went, yeah. Excuse me. The background to that is simple. I had my Mega Drive, I had my Super Famicom. There was a massive crossover period, you know. I did get rid of my Mega Drive and just have a Super Famicom, but, you know, they existed side by side for quite a long period of time. Then I did, and I've mentioned this before, I did a stupid trade. I wouldn't go as far as to say I got disillusioned, with video games or collecting, but because I had a Super Famicom, you know, that eventually became my main console that I collected and played, you know, games on. I had to import my games. I mean, I didn't have to import them because I had that thing you stuck in the slot and then you could stand a game on top and it would balance precariously like that, you know, and sometimes fall over when you're playing a game, which couldn't be good for the game or the system, you know, and crash. And then later on, obviously, when they put chips in it, I had that one that you stuck in and it had 2 slots on the top and you put the region of the game you wanted to play in your game in it, you know, so I could play PAL games on it. But I chose not to because even then, you know, I guess my experience of that was I only ever, once I got off the Spectrum, or off the Master System, sorry I should say, experienced 60 Hz systems. So, you know, seeing friends' systems running at 50 Hz, you were just like, oh, it's like watching widescreen. That's horrible. Why is it so slow? And what the fuck is wrong with the music? So I primarily imported all of my games initially from Japan, and then I started importing them from the States, and I bought a few from the States, you know, on holidays and, you know, stuff as a kid. But it was expensive. It was expensive, and also it was crazy expensive in the UK. I forget what Street Fighter 2 cost on the SNES when it first came out, but I do remember even back then, I mean, I paid 75 quid for my Japanese one, so I should probably shut up on that point, but I do remember even then looking at the UK one, you know, it's, you know, the badly bordered fucking 50 Hz train wreck version, and just going, you can't justify that. So there was a point, you know, where I was starting to think, yeah, this is getting expensive, this is getting out of hand, and not sort of, like I said, not becoming disillusioned, but kind of not so much focused on just, you know, playing as many games. And then I traded my, I don't know why, but I didn't regret it then. I do so now simply because it was Super Famicom, but trading my Super Famicom with a mate's brother for a whole bunch of sort of karate stuff and a stereo, because I was like doing taekwondo at the time, and it was absolutely shit hot stereo. I still have it. It's a Pioneer stereo. It's absolutely fantastic. And, you know, growing up, you know, getting properly more into music and stuff like that, you know, no longer being a child, being a young adult, I guess, is, you know, a better way to word it. And, you know, I don't know, I didn't simply want to have this sort of a, you know, a basic stereo anymore. And so, yeah, I totally didn't regret it. And then after I got rid of it, there were still systems exposed to me. My brother had a Super Nintendo, and he had a Super Wildcard. But I viewed it, I watched him play it with his mates, but I never really played him on. I didn't play it. So, you know, and my mates still had systems, but I don't know, I never ever played them. And it's weird thinking back, because now I think to myself, how come you didn't miss it? And I mean, the fact that it was my first year of college probably, you know, helped quite a lot. You know, you got your independence, had my first car, Mini, original Mini, BMWs. They're not Minis, just because they're called a Mini. It's not a Mini, it's a front wheel drive BMW. You know, but yeah, I had my first 2 cars were Minis, in fact. Yeah, I had a Mini, you know, driving to college back and stuff like that. You know, you start going out with your mates, you start drinking, you start smoking. Yeah, don't smoke, people, it's bad. And I can say that because I've quit, and when you quit smoking, you get to take the moral high ground. Dick. You know, going to gigs, going to raves, going to parties, you know, I absolutely did not miss gaming at all. We're talking, like, I didn't buy gaming magazines. I mean, why would you when you didn't own a system? I didn't play any arcade machines. I literally didn't game for a year, you know, and I didn't miss it. I absolutely did not miss it. I don't know if I ever thought that that was it, you know, I was never going to go back to the fold, which is a silly thing to think, but because obviously more so now we appreciate the future is, you know, coming at a faster rate than I guess we did then. You know, a console when you're a kid, the lifespan was like forever. But yeah, I completely didn't miss it, and thinking back on it now, that to me is just utterly mind-blowing. Then all of a sudden there was something that kind of rekindled the passion, you know, the absolute sheer excitement and out and out want for a system that I hadn't had since I first saw, you know, the Japanese Mega Drive and the PC Engine in Mean Machines and CVG, and that system was the PlayStation. And this is I got my PlayStation in very early '95 in the United Kingdom. I think it was released September 29th. It was released on December 9th in Japan. Australia was November. I forget when North America was. I mean, it's obviously before the UK. Not long after the Japanese version. I don't know, you know. Feel free to look it up on Wikipedia. And yeah, I remember literally I was completely happy in my, you know, bubble of going to college and stuff like this and all these new things and seeing bands and yeah, I just you know, I lived my life without gaming. As I said, completely alien to me now, I didn't care. And then all of a sudden, one day I happened to walk by a magazine, I don't know if it was Edge or something, there a newsagent, and I never even bothered checking out games magazines at this point anymore anyway, and there on the front was this Sony are going to enter the home console market. And I remember thinking to myself, Sony, you make stereos. You know, you make TVs, you make very good stereos, you make very good TVs, but you're going to make a console? That's crazy. So I picked up this magazine on a whim, and it's funny now because we should have realised at the time that, you know, Sony were just a beast, an entertainment beast. You know, the fact that they hadn't done, you know, home consoles, and obviously this was actually spurred on from the fact that they were going to do the CD unit for the Super Famicom, and then Nintendo and then fell out, and so Sony were like, you know, we're going to make our own system, and Nintendo were like, yeah, go on then. You know, what do you know about it? And it's Sony. We should have known that whatever they turn their hands to turns to gold. But yeah, that's what intrigued me. That absolutely really intrigued me, that Sony were going to enter this market. So I bought this magazine, and I remember reading it and just looking at the specs of this thing, because I guess also a part of the reason I didn't, you know, care so much about gaming anymore was, as much as the Mega Drive was really impressive at the time, especially the Super Famicom when I first got it, Mode 7, stuff like that. You know, we'd become accustomed to this sort of sprite-based technology. Right, Mode 7 was good, sprite scaling was good, you know, the Super Effects chip, although that was after my time, you know, they were all good, but we'd grown accustomed to the type of games or graphics available on these systems, and so this was absolutely just something completely different. It's funny, you play original PlayStation 1 games now, at least to me, they look grainy as hell, but that might be because now I'm playing PlayStation 1 games that are 50 Hz, my PlayStation 2, whereas when I first had my PlayStation, it was a 60 Hz machine. Anyway, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Yeah, so I don't know, I just looked through this magazine and I was just like, holy shit, this looks fucking amazing. You know, Battle Arena Toshinden, Ridge Racer. Ridge Racer sold it to me. Never played it, had seen it in the arcade, and it was just like, wow, you know, we're there, we're there. So it's funny, I got that bug again. I'm like, I can't wait, you know, a year or the best part of 9-10 months till this comes out into the UK. I'm going to get a Japanese one. Hindsight, very, very expensive. I think I ended up borrowing the money off my brother. The box is in the other room. Actually, the PlayStation's in the other room, but the other room's like the Twilight Zone, and I still can't find it. Yeah, so I didn't import, actually, this is where it gets interesting. I didn't import a Japanese one. I borrowed 450 quid off my brother because I saw a black and white advert by sheer fluke one day, flicking through Trade It magazine, actually looking for bits and pieces for my car that said Japanese PlayStations and Japanese Saturns for sale. And I phoned him up, and he was down the road, the other side of town, and he had one PlayStation 1 left. And he said we've hardwired it to run on SCART, but it will run in 60 Hz, and you know, it's yours if you want it. It's Japanese and all. I was like, please, 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 don't sell it. You know, this is how excited I was for the PlayStation 1. And I actually, because I had a car at the time, but this is pre-sat-nav and everything, so I got my mum to drive me there, and I had to read this really dodgy set of directions, I should say, to this bloke's house that was, actually, it took us a while to find it, and this is pre-mobile phone, so it's not like you could phone him up and say, like, we are on our way, we are on our way. So, you know, my heart was actually pounding. I'm like, fuck, it's gonna be gone, it's gonna be gone, it's gonna be gone. And we got there, and he still had it, and he still had one Saturn, and I've never forgotten this. I said, oh, you've got a Saturn, what are they like? And he actually said, don't bother with it, I'm gonna show you one thing. And he showed me a Ridge Racer, and that was it. The bug was back, you know. I was like, 450 quid then, you know, very early 95. I don't even want to know what that would translate to now, but it's crazy. You know, I gave him 450 quid, and I was absolutely just that besotted. You know, it was back in my blood, and I've not, you know, stopped gaming since. Even though it did come with Cyber Sled, which in hindsight is a shit game, but still enough to sort of wow you and with eye candy. And I do remember being that cool kid again, like when I had my Super Famicom with Street Fighter, you know, hey everyone, look at this. And like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, Sony video game console? Sony's got a console? Because, you know, this is slightly before the drip freeze properly started coming down, saying there was going to be a power release. And yeah, that was it. That was me back in the fold. And yeah, absolutely loved it. Plus also you could do the blue tack thing and disc swap. So when the UK games started coming out, I didn't need to get chip or anything. But yeah, utterly fantastic. So I walked away from gaming once for an entire year and was completely, utterly fine and happy with it until I saw the PlayStation 1. And it took that to get me back into it. So anyway, what do you think? You ever turn your back on gaming? You know, did you regret it? You know, what did it take to get you back in? Thank you for watching. I'll see you later.